Well, hello out there, everybody. It's been a long time since I've been on my channel here on YouTube, doing all kinds of different things and trying out different kinds of things. But, I thought I would come back here today and start doing these again. So hopefully you haven't run away. Hopefully you find them helpful, and we'll see where we can go from here. So if maybe you've forgotten, but my name is Lucas. I've been working as a mental health therapist for the past almost 23 years now. So I've got a little bit of tooth in the game. Been around a long time, but not too long. And so I sort of started this channel to give talks about different things I have worked with in therapy and with people and also with myself. And so the real premise around it is just being an open space for people to talk and to listen and to not always think that I'm alone. And you're not. Lots of people struggle with different aspects of mental health. And I'm not here to say I have all the answers. I wish I did. But this is just my viewpoints on how things have worked and how it's helped myself as a human being, as a person, and how I've worked with other people with these things. So there's often lots of talk about, being vulnerable, authentic, be your vulnerable self, be authentic. And, for some of us, you might hear that and be like, yeah, I'm totally into that. And for others, it might be like, I'm not doing that. I did those types of things and I've been shut down and it didn't work out well. And I'm not here to deny that those things didn't happen, but to really talk about what's the vulnerability for, or being authentic, be your authentic self, and what kind of things do those bring forward for yourself. There's lots of different ideas out there about public speaking, and if you have trouble with public speaking, hopefully this story will relate. But there's lots of us out there, all of us. When we were born and came to this earth, we had a voice. We would let people know, I need my diaper changed, I need food, I need this. Right? So we communicate openly about our needs and our wants. So some point along the way, maybe not ill intention, but someone shut us down. We started talking about how we saw things or how we interpreted things, and someone really shut us down. It could be an individual, it could have been a group of people, it could have been something, and it shut you down when you were talking about what you felt, what you believed in. And so you took that risk to be vulnerable, and then like to talk about your truth or how you saw something. Your truth doesn't mean it's the absolute truth. And then you got shut down. So you get shut down and you end up going through, lots of different stages in your life, and you're trying to figure out, like, how do I do this? How do I talk about myself? And you notice, like, when it comes up about talking about yourself, being open to what you want to say, you feel just totally cut off. You're just totally like, I can't talk about that because my experience was this. So there was a time when communication for us as humans was very different than how it is now. I mean, look at how I'm communicating with you right now. I'm talking into something that's connected to my phone, that's recording a video. I mean, there was a time when we didn't have phones like this. We didn't have internet. We didn't have TV. We used to have the radio, and we'd all sit around, right? We'd all sit around the radio. And even before that, we'd sit around the fire and listen to stories. And that's how we learned. We would learn by listening to others. And so we'd be listening to others tell their stories around the campfire. stories about adventure, and they were exciting, and how to deal with this and how to deal with this and how to maybe hunt that or how to grow this and what can happen. And you would sit around the fire and listen to the storyteller about how to manage these things or how to express yourself around these things. And so you would listen to the storyteller around your fire and you'd be like, wow, that's, how do I do that? And then you would find a way. You would have to be vulnerable to what it is you were dealing with. Like, I got to try this. I have to do this. I have to work this way. I have to go here. I got to do that. I have to try these things. Right? You had to be willing to see if what they're talking about is going to help you, for you. And so being vulnerable for a lot of us at one time came very normal, but now it's not. It doesn't seem very safe. And there's probably lots of people watching like, yeah, I don't do vulnerability. I don't show any, because we see vulnerability showing people our weaknesses, right? If you express a certain opinion about something or talk about, when I was hurt, I was in a tough relationship and I got really heartbroken. But what I did is I didn't get so focused on being heartbroken after a while, after I worked through some of that. But I got vulnerable to the things that I needed to work on for myself to be a better person in relationships, not only for them, but for me. So that can be a real challenge, right? So you're trying to figure this stuff out. You're, who's sitting around your campfire talking about vulnerability or whatever it is. That's just an example. But how it is do you work that through for yourself about vulnerability and being your authentic self without the I'm doing that for this outcome. Like I'm doing this to get this rather than I'm doing this to push myself further, like to push me further. Because I may do this and people may not like me. And they may not want to listen to you when you're talking from your authentic self and bringing up vulnerabilities that you've experienced in your lifetime. They may laugh at you. And you need to ask yourself, what is the purpose of doing it? If you're doing it to get something from others, then is that complete vulnerability or is that vulnerability with manipulation? Now, if you're just doing it because you know that that's your authentic truth, that you've tried it the other way, whatever way it is, but you know that you're okay with being who you are, you're okay with telling people that doesn't fit for me. Or, you're in a relationship and you're like, these are the things I need for me in a relationship. And it doesn't mean we can't have a compromise or talk about it, but I'm going to tell you what it is I need. And, that's a challenging thing in this day and age because not everyone's open to that. Because we're not always communicating in the same way. But those stories, right? Sitting around and what is your story? And often people will say, like, you can change your story 100%. But that story does have chapters before that, where you are right now, right? And it's, when you think about stories, they have a beginning, they have a middle, and then they have an end, right? And, if you think about who's telling the story, which would be you, how you interpret those first few chapters, those chapters in the middle, and those chapters in the end, and how you relay those. How do you tell that story? Is it a story of vulnerability and authenticity? Or is it a story of being really mad at everything and feeling that you've been duped or been wronged? And it's hard to show that you've been duped and wronged, and you probably have been. People do some pretty horrible things. But how did you progress through that? What part in the story did it change for you? What part in the story did you become more vulnerable and authentic to yourself, have more compassion for yourself, as that story started to change its narrative, right? Because how you saw the beginning chapters started to change, you know? So don't forget who's telling your story, and forget who's, fire you're sitting around. Be okay with it. Be open to it. Be open to it for yourself, for your own authenticity. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for stopping by. I don't know if anyone will see this, but you know what? I think they're gonna. And enjoy your stories, and figure out for yourself how those stories relate to your current situation. Anyways, take care, and we'll see you soon.